To all who come to this happy place, welcome.
What is it about Disney that makes us happy? Is it the magical whistle as your ticket is scanned at the main gate? Is it the seafaring smell of pirate water? Or is it charting a course to a land where you may never grow up? Whether it's singing a familiar song, watching a movie, or riding your favorite attraction for the 100th time, Disney undeniably has a way to warm our hearts, believe in magic, and bring joy into our lives. This is Main Gate Magic, a podcast where we break down and discuss the infectious happiness, delight, and thrill of all things Disney. Well, good evening, everybody. It is Tuesday, May 21st, 2025, and we are on another fun-filled, adventurous episode of Main Gate Magic. Welcome, everybody. And with me, as always, almost every episode now, there's only been a couple that she's missed, but we're still always happy to have her, is the lovely Miss Leia. Welcome to the show, Leia. Good to have you back.
Hello. Good to be back.
Thank you very much for always showing up. And also appearing in center stage, the spotlight is on the talented, the vocally brilliant, and very busy Mr. Phil LaMarr. Phil, welcome to the show. How you doing?
I'm fine. I'm happy with Leia and Leah, or Tuesday and Wednesday.
Oh, it is Wednesday. Oh my gosh, you're right. And you know what's funny? I'm putting my foot in my mouth because on the last episode last week, I had to remind people like 5 or 6 times during the live stream. Remember, next week's show is on Wednesday. And here I am on Wednesday saying it's Tuesday. So, hey, how's that for irony?
Yeah.
Now, I do have to apologize because I think what's happening is there's an issue with Facebook. For some reason, I am not streaming directly from Facebook tonight. I just tried to check my live feed, but we are still broadcasting directly from our YouTube channel. So I put a quick little blurb on our Facebook page while the live video was playing, or the intro video was playing. So if you guys are watching this recorded or you're catching up, we are on YouTube only tonight. So I apologize for the inconvenience. We should be back up and running on Facebook next week. So, Phil, let's get down to business, buddy. I mean, okay, so I met you probably like a few years ago, I think, and it's always been at the Stockton convention that we go to, right. And you're usually there at your table, sometimes with your cast from Futurama, and other times, you know, just there doing your own thing and all that. But I think if for those who are joining and who have never really known what you do, I'm just going to go ahead and tell you a few things that I know you from specifically. Futurama is definitely one of them. You play a character named Hermes, right? Mm-hmm. And one of your earlier roles, one of many early roles, you were actually in a movie called Pulp Fiction at one point.
Right behind you. I see the poster.
Yeah, I do see a poster there. Yeah. So what role did you play in that movie?
I played Marvin.
Poor Marvin.
Guy who was part of the bad group of guys, but who wound up in the back seat of the car with Jules and Vince.
Yes, he wound up all over the back seat of Jules and Vince's car.
He shot Marvin.
Yeah, I know. You shot Marvin. That was like such a quotable line. I love it. Now, you got your career started pretty early. When did you actually start getting into acting, and how did you have any training before that?
Well, I started right after college in the early 90s. And I had done plays since junior high. That was my training, although that was not my career.
Yeah. So, but where did you go to school for it, or did you actually, were you trained under somebody specifically?
Well, I went to Harvard. Well, it's Harvard Westlake now in Los Angeles, is private school. Back then, it was just an all-boys school called Harvard School. And we had a great theater department director named Basil Lee Drew. And in my 8th grade, he decided to do a play based on a book that the little book nerd I was loved. So I started performing because I was a fan of the book, The Phantom Toll Booth.
The Phantom Toll Booth.
I've never
What was
heard
that
of
about?
that one.
Yeah. What was that one about?
It's about a young boy named Milo who finds himself on a trip into a fantasy world and is fighting. And it's interesting because there was this little character in the book that I was like, oh wow, I want to play the guy who goes against them towards the end and tries to stop them, but he can't stop their sense of humor. But when I went to audition, I wound up getting a much bigger part.
No way.
Yeah, one of the 3 characters of the main group. And I started the show doing a monologue alone on stage in a spotlight. That was a good way to start.
Heck yeah.
That's
Talk about center,
amazing.
like the spotlight is lit. I said even earlier, I was saying the spotlight's on you now,
Right.
and I couldn't have been more right, because that's the rest, as they say, is probably history from there, right?
And you feel the energy of the audience, like, ooh, these people are mine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Phil, did you realize in that first play that this was like a passion that kind of awakened in you? Like, wow, I could see doing this for a large part of my life.
I didn't think about it for the future, but I decided to stay part of the theater community. And I love working on productions, whether I was in the show or just running the lights or whatever.
Yeah.
So I did tons of plays till I graduated college. I graduated high school, went to college, and got lucky. Even though I was an English major at Yale, I realized that because Yale had what they call residential colleges, 12 of them where everybody lived, but every residential college had a dramatic group. So there were like tons of plays going on. And so I got to keep doing more plays.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
So you can actually say, I mean, I know it's not the Harvard, but it is a Harvard. You can say that you've actually been to Harvard and
Yeah,
Yale.
I was thinking that, Jason.
There's probably not a lot of people that I can actually say that.
Yes, I wear red and blue.
Right, exactly. And depending on where you live, that could be a good thing or a bad thing. We got some people in the audience saying hello today. Our big fan Patricia Gilliam is here. She says, hi, everyone. Big fan of Futurama and Samurai Jack. That's right, because you are the voice of Samurai Jack. And I know there's a lot of people that are interested
Bill, you
in that.
are?
Well, at least the Gilliam has put them in alphabetical order. Good for you, Patricia.
Such a pleasure to hear our guests do voices. I never ask them to do it, but I am so pleased to hear people do. I call the show Main Gate Magic for a reason, and that is definitely magic moment number 1 so far. Well,
as Hermes taught us all long ago, you got to do what you love, even if it's not a good idea.
I love that.
Phil,
is that
I'm geeking out.
Is that a quotable from one of the episodes?
Yeah, that was a quote from a song, and it was really amazing to get to sing alongside Billy West and Katie Seagal when in high school and college, I almost never did music. Well, in high school, I never sang in musicals. And in college, I never got into a cappella song groups.
But for Futurama, you did.
Well, the great thing is when you're singing in record, you get, if you don't do it right, you can do another take.
That's true.
That is the beauty of it. Yeah. You can just delete some and keep the good. Yeah.
Leia, did you have another question?
Oh, I'm just geeking out over here. You're the voice of Samurai Jack?
Yes.
I love it.
Such a pleasure to, well, I mean, that is one of the best things of my life is I've had a career where I got to work with great creators.
Jandy Tartakovsky?
Yes.
Oh, he is one of the best storytellers in my mind. Like how he came out with Primal, every image is like a snapshot. He is a true artist of every sense.
He's amazing because he, I mean, for Cartoon Network back then, it was amazing for somebody to be telling the story and touching you, not just with the words, but with the sound, with the color, with the action, with the feeling from the character. Imagery. He did it all. He used it all to tell the story.
I was just talking to my brother because we love him, and I was like, he is so emotionally intelligent. Like what you just said, every aspect, he just gets it, and he touches you on every level. Oh, that's amazing that you work. Yeah. You did a beautiful job at Samurai Jack. You just captured him.
Thank you. Well, and it's fascinating, and it makes sense to me now. It might be at a con and have older people, people who are older now, come up and say, "Oh, I love Samurai Jack. That was the cartoon I would watch with my father." And back in the late 90s, early 2000s, adults did not watch cartoons most of the time. It was like, no. Kids.
This one did.
I'm not coming in the room till you turn that off.
Yeah.
But Samurai Jack, because it was such great storytelling, was probably one of the few cartoons that had a big adult audience.
Yeah.
And I think didn't it start off as, it was like more of like webisodes, right? They were not available on like any specific streaming service or cable. Wasn't it like on like an online thing for a while? Because I remember like seeing like flash animations.
Cartoon
that
Network.
And like, was it Cartoon Network?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I'm thinking of like Invader Zim. Was that one of the ones that was like on? Was that also Cartoon Network?
No, Invader Zim was Nickelodeon.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I
I'm
must
not
be
sure.
thinking of something else. I swear I saw Samurai Jack on the computer once, and it was like available online only or something like that. But I could be thinking of something different. So, Phil, you have done quite a few things for Disney. Now, we were talking about this before the show started, and you, at the time, it was not necessarily under the Disney umbrella, but now that they have been incorporated with things like Star Wars, Marvel, Pixar, everything, now that they own pretty much everything under the sun, you have quite a long list of things that you have done for all of those mentioned. I've even got it in a little ticker symbol down below. And I actually I was sharing this with you earlier, but I want to actually present this to the audience as well, because I did kind of like a Josh Schaefer thing. He's like this like database guy, friend of mine, he's like does these Disney fun facts. And I swear, I think he loves doing this for a living. And I had to do it for you because I wanted to see, like, of the stuff that you have done for your voice work, how much of it was for Star Wars? How much of it was for Marvel? I don't think I captured everything, but this is the list. They've got like a lot of stuff for Star Wars, just some of the characters you've done for the Bad Batch, Tales of the Jedi, the Lego Star Wars Skywalker Saga. That's a video game that I absolutely love. That you apparently have done the voice of Jar Jar Binks before. And I know that there is a certain person watching right now that I mentioned on a specific trip that I was on very recently who has a certain feeling about Mr. Jar Jar Binks. Do you ever get any like people that come up to you and be like, "Hey, I heard you do the voice of Jar Jar. Can you do it for me?" Or do they ever give you any like guff about it without, trying to say anything too negative?
No. I mean, I feel like the only person who ever talks about it is Ahmed Best. When he I mean, we know each other, and he found out that I filled in for him briefly on Clone Wars, but later they brought him back to voice the character he had, physically been.
Oh,
Wow.
Mhm.
So
Although
when you say
it's wonderful to have, I mean, I said I, started acting because I was a fan, but I was a huge fan of Star Wars, which
Mhm,
started when I was 10.
mhm.
And getting to be a part of the Star Wars universe through animation has been a dream, a wonder, but also a great benefit from Gendy Tartakovsky.
You have to
Because
tell me who that is. I'm sorry.
Gendy Tartakovsky is the creator of Samurai Jack,
Ah,
and he is
Dexter's
also
Lab. Yeah.
the person who started an animated Star Wars world.
No way.
oh,
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Yes, Cartoon Network stopped Samurai Jack and pulled him over to create an animated version of Star Wars for George Lucas. And he did these little 5-minute Star Wars cartoons. And then that led them into their complete animated world that Dave Filoni is the king of. And he's amazing.
wow. Yeah, Dave Filoni, I've heard
Oh.
that name before for sure. I just wasn't familiar with the one before. But it's amazing, like the origins of these stories and everything, and especially considering where it's at now, like all the different animated series that have come out since then.
Yes, so many.
Not just shorts, but like entire seasons of like the Rebels is like the biggest one, I think.
Star Wars
And
has exploded. Like I've never
Yeah.
thought it would get to be such a big universe, but it's very exciting. Like,
Speaking of Star Wars, we have Mr. C. Andrew Nelson listening and saying greetings from the dark side. And C. Andrew Nelson,
thank you.
love the Phantom Toll booth. I figures he would know what that is too. Yeah.
Wow.
And then we also have Signs of Amusement is in the house today. And Jason says, my favorite UPS guy, one of the best bits from Mad TV. Tell us a little bit about your stint on Mad TV. You were quite a regular character on there.
Well, it's a sketch comedy show, so we did tons of characters, because
And-
in an hour, you're never playing just, an hour of late night sketch. You're not just doing one story, one character. But I got very lucky again, because after college, in college, I was introduced to improv comedy because a friend of mine I'd done a play with, the next year he said, hey guys, we should start an improv comedy group. And that was the first time I ever knew anything or started doing anything about improv, and I loved it. And after graduation, coming back home to Los Angeles, I wanted more improv back in my life. So I went and took classes at the Groundlings Theater, the great classic theater in West Hollywood, where so many amazing people, Paul Rubens, Lorraine Newman, Phil Hartman, John Lovitz.
Oh, wow. Yes.
Cassandra Peterson, so many people who come through there. And the really wonderful thing was the Groundlings introduces you to improv, but then suggests if you do a good improv, write it down. And then you start doing sketches.
Wow.
So
Nice.
It got me from improv into sketch comedy, and that got me the job on Mad TV.
Do you think the UPS guy is the one that you're mostly known for?
Yes. Well, it was a character I had created alongside my groundling friend, Mary Shear. And we did it on stage in West Hollywood. And then we got hired by Fox and we performed the same sketch together on screen.
That's so cool.
Oh my goodness, that's amazing.
It's a rare.
Now, have you always kind of preferred comedy bits over more dramatic roles?
No, I will do drama, comedy. Just it's to me it's and or stage or on movies. It's less about the medium or the genre than it is about the quality of the story.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, getting to do a animated story like Futurama or Samurai Jack is as good as getting to do a movie with Quentin Tarantino.
Just on a
Even-
different level.
Well,
a
but
parallel universe,
they're
if you
all
will.
amazing writers, so they
Yeah.
create great characters, and it's a joy to get to perform scripts that great.
I can only
Makes
imagine.
sense. Phil, I have a question. So when you get an audition for a character, what's your process of looking at the script and then making it your own? Or like, how do you prepare for auditioning for a character?
Well, you take in as much as you can, either from the story or from the description of the character or an image of the character, and based on what the character does or how they look, you think about, okay, how would someone like that sound? It's not just about sounding like me. It's about sounding like this character in this world.
One of the things that I think
you hope
sorry.
that what you come up with is what the creator is hearing in their head.
Yeah, that makes sense. I was just listening to a voiceover person, Tara Strong. Jason and I are in a voicings course with her. She's a gem, and she said she'll actually often have a picture of the character on the side as she's auditioning to keep looking and saying, does it sound like this voice will come out of this character?
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
That's very,
Yeah,
very,
one of the processes that we're doing right now is part of the beginning of the class is you have to actually make your own character. You have to draw this like 16-year-old alien for animated comedy for a target audience of 14 to 17-year-olds. I have spent so much time just working on the artwork for it. I haven't even gotten to the point where I'm voicing him yet. But the funny thing is, and I was going to ask you a question about this as well, kind of a follow-up to Leia's, is that as I am creating him, I am thinking of his backstory. Like, where is he from? And he's got a drink in his hand, and he's kind of like, he's like got an earring in his antenna that I gave him because, he's got attitude, but he also doesn't really care. He's kind of like a meh teen. Do you ever kind of give backstories to characters you don't know much about to kind of give them more life?
No.
Okay.
You can simply ask about that. You don't just make up, because that would be like going, well, if I were a samurai, I would act like this.
Yeah.
Which
I don't know. Sometimes I think that if you do that, you might be able to surprise somebody sometime. And I know that certain like writers, they have certain ways that they need the character to be, and then those characters probably already have backgrounds by the time that you pick it up and everything. But I don't know. I think sometimes it could also, like, because you love improv, and that, I don't know, have you ever done anything that was improvisational in something that was scripted that somebody's like, oh, no, that was great, keep it? Anything that you can recall like that?
Just making up lines?
Yeah. Besides improv, something that was scripted, but that you maybe kind of improved as a joke or, just out of fun. And they're like, oh, no, do that. It was great.
Yeah, sometimes you do ad libs, they call them.
Okay.
But usually that's, a character that's been established, and you've heard what that character says, how they say things, how they react to things. And you can come up with, oh, well, if he says all those things I've said before, then he might say this with this. And you can make a suggestion. and they'll go, "Oh, right."
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was hoping. Yeah, I would love to be able to just kind of like, whew. I've never tried improv myself. I would love to someday. My mom had always told me back in the day when she was still around,
Mhm.
she was in the middle of this like improv, like theater that she got into. And it was part of her sobriety program. You know, it was kind of something to kind
Oh,
of get her out there and do things with people to engage and keep her mind on other things that are more positive than obviously what she had gone through. And she's like, you should do it sometime. But I was like, I was still too much in my shell. I'm like, no, can't do it. Can't do it. Now,
Oh, thanks,
alone with my
Jason. I think you'd
family,
love it. Yeah.
I would love to nowadays. I think
mhm.
nowadays it'd probably be a little different, but I am different nowadays. So
Well, the
anyway,
best thing about improv, comparing it to voiceover, is it's about taking in the suggestion, like what the
yes,
audience
yeah,
has yelled out, and how you can bring that to life.
right.
And it's the same thing, but with voiceover, you get much more suggestion. You get descriptions, you get images, but you still take it.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. Um, Signs of Amusement says, what is Phil's favorite character / voice that he has done? I have no idea. Phil?
Well, like I said before, I've been very, very lucky. I've gotten to work with amazing writer creators: Seth MacFarlane, Dwayne McDuffie, Bruce Timm, Matt Groening, Gendy Tartakovsky. So all of the and Dave Filoni, all of those are my favorites. Being a superhero, being a Jedi,
Mhm.
those, yeah. So I don't have any one favorite, thankfully, because a bunch of these shows I got to work on, getting to play a character on one of these would be the thing that made you happy for deciding to be an actor.
Yeah.
Love that. Like they have each one has like a special place in your heart, so to say. Yeah.
They're all special in their own way. Yeah, I get it. And I love that answer. That's great.
Mhm.
And
Phil,
Signs of
growing
Amusement,
up.
it's Jason.
Oh,
Jason says, good answer. Good answer.
oh yeah.
You did good, Phil. You did good.
Phil, I have a question. So you said you loved Star Wars when you were 10 years old. What was your favorite original movie growing up?
We were just talking about this.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I loved the first movie, but I think that Empire was my most favorite as a child because
Jason.
Absolutely.
he took the Star Wars story in a completely different direction. Whoa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people from our generation are kind of fans of that one just because I think it was because of the pace. It was because of just like it was just nonstop. The musical score was incredible, and of course, the
Well,
cliffhanger at the end.
well, and I'm sure Andrew loves the fact that Vader became a father in that movie.
Yeah.
Right.
There
Yeah.
was nothing like that, no story like that we had ever dealt with until then. I mean, you had
Yeah.
lots of stories with villains, but the villains never gave birth to the heroes.
No, that's true.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah. Space. There were number one. There was other space stories, but not a space. I think people have referred to Star Wars before. I've heard it called as a space opera. Um,
Ooh.
but um, but nobody has ever done like a cliffhanger like that, especially like an episodic thing where it's like, wait, what's gonna happen next? You know?
Right.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's a universe that we all love, and we've, I mean, a lot of us love it, but I know that there's others that feel like it's kind of gone in a different direction that they're just not as happy with. I guess that's the best way I can put it.
Yeah.
A couple other people I want to acknowledge in the chat. Jerry Cornell is in the house today. He says, hello, Leia, J-Man, and Mr. LaMarr. Love everything you've done.
Oh,
Hey,
thank
Jerry.
you, Jerry.
And C. Andrew Nelson has another question. He says, what's the most challenging production you have worked on or the most challenging character you've ever played? Challenging.
Oh, that's an interesting. I'm trying to think what was most challenging.
Something maybe you just had a hard time with, maybe connecting, or I don't know.
Well, it's funny because I feel like the only challenging production I ever thought of was one time I was working on a video game, a Terminator video game, playing
Ooh.
playing a cop,
Uh-huh.
and we had a morning recording session. And you know that being a cop in a Terminator video game meant lots of death sounds.
Oh.
So spending an hour and a half of screaming, electrifying, dying, at the first thing in the morning almost ruined my throat.
Oh no.
I called my
I
agent
can
and said,
imagine.
I can't do anything else today.
Is that the most you think that you've actually like screamed or yelled or, made death noises for any character ever?
Yeah. Well, it was more because with video games, a lot of times it's less about the character. You don't get a full description. You just say this or say something or give me a short scream, medium scream, and long scream.
That was good, but let's do it again and put some more feeling into it.
More angst.
Right. More angst. Right. This time, just pretend that you just got your foot shot instead of dying, Jerry Cornell says, what type of character have you yet to play that you would like to?
Ooh, that's a good one.
That's got to be a tough question. You've played a lot of characters.
Well, actually, Jerry, since 8th grade, there hasn't been a character I read that I wanted to play.
Really?
Because as a professional actor, you get auditions and it's not based on, you going around reading every script and saying, give me an audition for this.
Okay.
So,
but let's explore that a little bit more. Because Disney is doing all the live action remakes nowadays, right? The latest one that's coming out is Lilo and Stitch, which I am very, very excited to
Very
see.
excited.
But if somebody were to remake maybe like even a classic film like the Godfather series or something like that, whether it's live action or animated or whatever, there's no characters that you would be like, I've always admired the characteristics of this particular person in this movie or this series or whatever that I would just love to play sometime. There's nobody like that.
Well, I guess not, because usually when you watch something and there's a character that really hits you and you love, you don't think about, oh, I wish I could play Fonzie.
We all know what happened to Fonzie. He jumped the shark.
Well, because that person playing that character is so great.
Yeah.
Like, I just want to watch them do something else.
Right.
Or if you see something that isn't that, fantastic, you don't think about, well, I could do better than that guy. No.
Yeah.
Okay. But I mean, still, there might be some kind of honor in doing that, well, I'm just going to give an example, like Will Smith playing the role of Genie in the live action of Aladdin. It's like there was a huge, I think, expectation from the public that he was going to be filling some huge shoes with Robin Williams' animated character of the Genie.
Oh, wow.
But he did it.
He nailed it. He made it his
I thought he
own.
did it really well. Now, he didn't do it like Robin Williams because nobody can do anything like Robin Williams except Robin Williams. But he did such a great version of that character and he made it his own. And it was just as entertaining to me. So I think that's kind of where I was trying to go. And I think that's the kind of thing that I'm talking about is like, if I would want to do something like that, where it's just like, oh, I've always loved that, how this person did it. I would love to do a version of it of my own. So,
Well, it's like in the old days when you were playing, doing Shakespeare, you were playing Hamlet
Right.
It wasn't about, let me do it exactly the way this other production guy had done it.
No.
No. You just played the character the way that worked best for you.
Yeah,
For
like
sure.
bring your own interpretation to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Phil, I have one for you, and I was just thinking about this. It would be amazing now meeting you because you were in Pulp Fiction. Tarantino's making his last film. That'd be so, so cool if you got to be in Tarantino's last film. Putting it out there. Whoosh. I love Tarantino, so
Yes, well, it's sad if it really is his last.
I
mean,
know. I hope it's
he's one, just a genius. I mean, working on Pulp Fiction, it was the nicest set.
was it?
Everyone, cast and crew, was happy to be there. And I think part of that was because the script was so good. When you read it, you felt like, oh wow, this feels like it should be printed on gold, not paper.
I believe it. Yeah.
But also, I mean, one of the greatest things about Quentin was I got to audition and get a part in that movie because I had done an improv comedy show with him. And
No way.
he was funny on stage.
Oh, wow. That's so cool.
And you're like, wow, people should have laughed much more in Reservoir Dogs. You're so funny.
Because so this is the time where I wish I could pivot my show and just make it all about movies in general, because there are so many things that I could talk about on Tarantino movies alone.
Yeah.
And one of my guilty favorites, and I can't really talk about it too much because I got more questions and more stuff to talk about. Hello, DoorDash. Is From Dusk Till Dawn. It was one of the biggest surprises, I think, that I was just like, I had no idea what the heck the movie was about. And I think that was like the whole idea of it. And then when you get into the theater, pardon me, excuse me for 1 second here. You get into the theater and then you have these expectations set. And then all of a sudden you see it's not a kidnapping movie. It's a movie about vampires. Your mind is just blown. Don't tell me I just
saw
blew
that
it
one,
for you.
Jason.
Are you serious? Oh my gosh.
Wait,
Watch it.
Spoiler alert. Tell me Phil, you've never seen that one before?
mm-mm.
Oh my gosh. I'm sorry I just blew it for you then. No, it was a joke. It's not really about vampires. It is a kidnapping movie. It's just they dress as vampires.
Wait, which one?
From Dusk Till Dawn.
Oh.
And actually Tarantino was in that movie, but I don't think it was his movie.
Oh,
Maybe
okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think that one was a Robert Rodriguez movie, if I remember correctly.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Okay.
yes, that's right.
But
They had a
I guess
connection.
one of my favorites that Tarantino was in. Maybe I should have been more specific about that.
I want to say
Sorry,
something
folks.
quick.
Please, while I get myself a drink of water and recover from this embarrassing.
No, just as far as like story writing goes and stuff, something I loved, I watched an interview with Quentin and how you said it was such a fun script and a fun atmosphere. They asked him, how do you come up with your scripts and how do you make them so natural and so good? And I loved what he said, how simple it was. He said, I write a script of a movie that I want to see. He said, I'm kind of selfish. I want to see something, so I make it. And he's, once again, emotionally intelligent. He gets what people want to see. And I just loved that. I think so many good stories are that way. The person they want to see something and they make it.
Mm.
Yeah.
And Quentin knows so much about so many movies. When he has a story that comes up in his head, I'm sure he can picture a bunch of movies like, oh, okay, this would be like that. That would be like that.
Yeah.
And that's how he makes them so good.
Andrew says, go ahead, pivot. And then after I stuck my foot in my mouth, he says, okay, don't pivot. Jerry says, love The Hateful Eight. That was a good one. I do like that one as well. I am going to go back to sharing my screen again on my little file that I created because I want to talk about, that's not what I wanted to share. That's my
Podcast.
My file. Yeah. Let me go to the correct window here. Where am I at here? There we go. Phil LaMarr. That's it. Let's talk about Marvel. Because you've done quite a few things as well. And the crazy thing is, too, that you have gone cross-universe because, I mean, the list that I have on my screen from Marvel, it's quite extensive. I mean, I'm seeing characters like Jarvis, Gambit, Ford, Green Goblin, Luke Cage, Tashawn from the Black Panther series. There's a few of them that I don't even really know the names of them. But and Blade, for crying out loud, a character that I am just now seeing get back into the Marvel universe from Deadpool 3, which was amazing.
Love Blade.
But you do kind of like cross universe stuff because you have also done characters for DC. You have been a Green Lantern before, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well,
so
and
again,
this is another blessing because I am a comic book fan.
Oh, are you?
I have so many hundreds of comics. I mean, when I was in my teens, I had some comics older than me.
You should.
Yeah.
That's a comic book collector's dream.
Just DC or just Marvel. It was all. Although
Everything.
I was a huge fan of Batman and
Yes.
Spider-Man. And
Yes.
you know, eventually I got to be in a well, actually, back in the old days, a family friend worked for NBC, and I got to go to an event one time and meet Stan Lee.
Oh my gosh.
So at 13, I had a picture with Stan Lee, and
Amazing.
that was amazing. And then the DC world, I mean, I was a huge Batman fan. And that's why years later, I got to meet people involved with Batman. I got to meet the great artist Neil Adams at a con.
Wow.
When I met him at a con, actually, the first thing I said to him was like, Mr. Adams, I just want to say thank you, one, for your fantastic art, and two, for creating a character that decades later became a job for me, because he had co-created the character John Stewart.
Who's that?
This was the Green Lantern in the Justice League cartoon.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
And it was amazing to hear him tell the stories. It's like, oh, yes. Well, back in the 70s, trying to get a black character into the comics, there were a lot of things I had to jump over.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I never thought about that before.
Wonderful.
Phil,
Fun question. Oh, yeah.
Oh, go, Leia. You go, Leia, and then I got one.
Okay. Since you love comics, what superhero of all of them resonates with you the most? Like, which one, if almost you could be one of the superheroes in your heart, like who do you resonate with the most?
Ooh, well, that one's tough because, as I said, Batman was one of my favorite characters, but because I got to work alongside Kevin Conroy,
You did.
who voiced Batman as greatly as Neil Adams drew him.
Yeah, he's Batman.
I feel like if I ever auditioned or got cast as Batman, I would just try to do a Kevin imitation.
Yeah.
Because that's the one that you know and you love.
That's the voice.
Kevin is
he's
God
from
level.
the animated series. Is that the Batman animated series, the voice you're talking about?
Yes, he was the voice of Batman in the Batman the Animated Series in the 90s.
And Arkham Asylum video games.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Such a wonderful game. And I didn't know that was the same guy that actually voiced both of those, because the Arkham Asylum games are incredible. Like some of the best, not just for the Batman universe, but I mean, just one of the greatest games I've ever played in my life. I can actually put it up there in my top 10.
I mean, that's a perfect Batman.
If I had been a on-camera actor cast as Batman, I would have asked them to come have Kevin dub in my line.
Do you want a voice dub?
That would be a great skit comedy, like for like just a little like 15-minute episode of. Did you ever see the episode of I forget, it was like College Humor, I think, where oh my God, Pete Holmes did a version of Batman. He did a version of Christian Bale's Batman where Batman finds his voice, and because Christian Bale, he kind of talks like this.
Yeah,
that's Batman.
Kevin Conroy's better.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, Christian Bale's not me. Christian Bale, great Batman series. The Dark Knight series is amazing, and of course I'm biased because of the one where Heath Ledger is the Joker. But anyway, where was I going with this? I
saw that when Jason, he found his voice,
I got
and
totally derailed. Oh, Pete Holmes, yeah. And yeah, he's hanging the guy over the side of the building, and he's like, "Where are the other drugs at?" And the guy's like, "Was that your voice?" And it was just great. Skit comedy, and it was scripted, of course, but it was just so hilarious. And he's literally threatening this guy with like different versions of his voice until his voice finally starts cracking from all the other voices he does, and that's where Batman gets his voice from.
When he's out of breath, and
right.
Yeah.
So, anyway, I wanted to ask you, in between the Marvel universe and the DC universe, flip a coin. Which one is your favorite, do you think?
Oh, they're both amazing.
They are. They all have their great characteristics.
In animation and in live action.
Can't decide? Come on.
Yeah.
You're the guy in the back seat of the car, gun to your head. Which one do you choose?
Well, I think Jon Favreau helped make the Marvel universe fantastic.
Yeah. Yes, he has. I remember when he first announced Iron Man, I was actually at a Comic-Con, and they showed like the first a 5-minute scene from that movie, and it was like the one that launched like all the Marvel movies. And I was oh my God, I was hooked from there. So yeah, I have to agree. Marvel, for me at least, hands down the best. Now, if you could be a Marvel superhero, which one would you want to be? And obviously Green Lantern's off the table because that's DC. You could think of like, because of the powers that they have, because of the representation that they have to the people, the trials and tribulations they've gone through, the lessons they've learned, things like that. Any particular superhero that rings to you?
Well, there's so many.
There is.
You know, Iron Man, Spider-Man.
Yes.
Thor.
Thor's a good one. I think those ones are good.
And thankfully, I've gotten to play characters with those, and Black Panther.
I've seen. Yeah. The list is, Iron Man 2 video game. You were the voice of War Machine. Like Thor, God of Thunder, and you played the voice of Heimdall. That's like Thor's like #1 guy. So yeah, just some great things. That's a great answer. And Spider-Man, I love Spider-Man. And Thor's a good one too. Yeah, and I think I like them both as well because they have a lot of growing up to do. It's like they were not really they were kind of born into their powers, so to speak. Peter kind of got his, but I think they did the most maturing and the most I don't know, I guess growing up and higher lessons of responsibility with the powers that they were given. So I think I like them a lot as well. I never really quite thought of Thor that way, but now that I think back on it, I think it's really good. So let's see.
Yeah.
See, Andrew Nelson says Neil Adams is my all-time favorite comic book artist.
Yes.
He also says Kevin Conroy broke the mold. Yes, absolutely.
Sure did.
Broke the cowl mold. Yeah.
Right.
And Patricia says, grew up watching Batman the Animated Series. Such great writing and performances.
Yeah, I feel like that was the one time in our country that cartoons got considered art.
Yes.
Yes.
Gargoyles, too. Gargoyles was another good one around the same time as Batman the Animated Series.
Right.
Very similar
That was another
animation
good
with
show.
those two. Yeah.
Very, yeah. Sharp points on all the horns and stuff like that, and really like sharp edges on people's faces and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a very specific style.
Yeah, the Gargoyle story is amazing.
Andrew wants to know, Phil, what's the best acting advice you ever received?
Wow.
Didn't realize there'd be this many hard questions, huh?
Yeah, advice. Well, I mean, because I wasn't a theater major, I was an English major. So when you do a play, you don't get that much advice. You just get direction. I'm trying to remember what advice my Groundlings teachers gave me. Well, they taught me amazing things. I don't remember a specific phrase of advice. I just, think about great classes.
Let's flip the question a little bit now. For Leia and I, we are both aspiring voice actors. What kind of advice would you like to give us? Just any type of advice you could think of, something
I'd
that
love
just off the
to
top of your
hear.
head.
Take your time. It's a big question.
Well, I think nowadays this is less known, but I remember having to learn that acting through your voice into a microphone is not just about the sounds. It is creating the characters. Although I really, really learned that by working alongside Mako Iwamatsu on Samurai Jack. This was an elderly Japanese-born actor who had starred on Broadway and in movies, and was incredible. And he had such a absolute unique voice. He had a unique tone, accent. And I remember one time Gendy said, "Oh, okay, Mako, there's another character in this episode we want you to do the voice of." And I remember thinking, what? Guys, he has got the most distinct voice. Like once he does this, you're going to need me to voice it for him. But when we did the episode, I saw him. It wasn't about, he didn't stick something in his throat to change his voice, but he acted this other character completely differently than the way he acted Aku.
I was wondering if you was Aku. Yeah.
So when you watch that episode, you don't know that, oh, wait, this is Aku talking again? And I realized, it's not just about changing your voice. It's about changing your performance.
Okay. That's fantastic. That's great advice.
Because all of us as people, we sound differently when we feel differently.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
When you are sitting around with friends happy, you sound differently than when you're someplace scared. So
100%. That is actually some great advice. I mean, I know it wasn't.
That's
I know
fantastic.
the question was like more like, what's your greatest? I mean, but as a voice actor, that is one thing that you actually do have to do. You have to do one voice. And then even sometimes for the same series or for another episode later on, do a completely different one. And you have to make sure it's differentiated between the two. And I think one of the greatest things I feel that one of the greatest compliments that I've ever gotten with the stuff that I've done so far is when somebody says, I didn't know that you played this character and that character in the same episode.
Mm-hmm.
And that to me is like such a compliment. And I know I've said that about you many times when I was going through this list. I'm like, I didn't know you did this guy too. I didn't know you did this guy. Wait, what? You did this person too? So bravo for everything that you've done, not just under the Disney umbrella, obviously. And I know we've kind of like gone off the beaten path for our Disney related show, but I don't care. It's my show. I can do whatever I want to.
Yeah.
And we are actually at the end of our hour, but we do have one final question. And my buddy Steve is online, and he is the person that has certain feelings about Jar Jar, and he has a question for you. And I have a feeling I already know the answer for this. Don't take it too seriously, but what was the one character you did not like to play? Jar Jar? And I think it's just more of a funny, but has there been any character that you're just like, ugh, I just really didn't like that character?
Oh, is there anything I just didn't like? Well,
Maybe because of the way it made you feel, or
I suppose if there was anything I didn't really like, I probably didn't get the audition.
Oh, that's interesting because your heart wasn't
great
in
answer.
it.
Right.
Yeah.
Because it just came out flat. It's like, okay, nope.
Move along. Nothing to see here.
Yeah.
Well, Patricia says your range of characters is fantastic, Phil, and I
Oh,
100% agree. And Andrew says, well said. Absolutely. A lot of things well said in this show. And I can't believe it, but we are already at the end of our hour. And I'll say it almost every time. I don't know how it flies by so quickly, but you helped make it easy, Phil. You're a great person to talk to, and I loved your stories, and really appreciate you being on the show. Did you want to talk about any upcoming appearances or anything like that? Give any plugs near the end of the show here? Any cons you're going to be at soon?
Yes. Well, this coming weekend, I'm going to Missouri for a con called Two Rivers Comic-Con, and we'll be there alongside a bunch of my Justice League cast, including Carl Lumley, who did the voice of the Martian Manhunter, Susan Eichenberg, who was Wonder Woman, Maria Canals-Barrera, who was Hawkgirl. But also at this Comic-Con is going to be comic book legend Roy Thomas. So
I don't know who that is.
He,
Tell me who he is.
He was, well, I think back in the old days, the first person to come into the comic book world who was a fan of comics.
No way. Oh.
And he became incredible. He was alongside Stan Lee. He did the Conan the Barbarian comic. He did so many. So
an artist or a writer?
Bringing my sketchbook and try to get to artist.
Okay, so an artist. Okay, gotcha. I didn't know if he was an artist or a writer, because you got a few of the people that are
He's
like
a writer,
there's inkers and painters and sketchers, and then there's writers.
Yeah.
Final question.
Sometimes I just go up to a writer and say, can I just get a thing? Although because it's a sketchbook, sometimes they'll draw something. I remember one time at a Comic-Con,
that's amazing.
I met Garth Ennis. And because it was a sketchbook, he drew a version of one of his characters.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's amazing. Oh my goodness.
Thank you.
I got to have and do you know who Sergio Arganis is? He's actually one of the artists that used to actually draw for Mad Magazine.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Yes,
the little characters that you see sort of like in the margins, if you've ever read a Mad Magazine before.
Yes.
He's the artist that did all those. And when I got his autograph, I actually met him on the street walking to the con, And he's
Oh.
like, well, stop by my table, at some point today, and I'll sign something for you. And he not only signed it, but he also drew one of his little characters as well. It's a special moment for sure.
Yes, actually,
Really quick.
I got to meet him.
Oh, yeah.
Well, the first time they sent him to Mad TV, and he did a sketch of our backstage.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh, really? Like all the people in just the stage itself with the
set,
people and everything too?
And then years later, I got to meet him again at San Diego Comic-Con.
Yeah, I think the one that I met him at was at a WonderCon when it was still in San Francisco.
Oh.
Yeah, it was a big one. I think it
Okay.
was the first one that they had actually had at the Moscone Center. And before it was like a little tiny venue in Oakland, but it blew up. Really quick question for you before we sign off for tonight. Are you excited for the new Superman movie?
Oh, yes. Yes.
Have you seen the trailer?
I think, anything James Gunn is doing is.
Yes.
Really excited. Yeah.
I like him too. I love his work. I love his pace. I love the characters that he puts on screen. And yeah, it's a little bit of a different version of Superman that I'm used to, I think, from what I saw in the latest trailer. He's a bit more...
I haven't seen the trailer yet. Okay.
Oh, yeah, there's a full trailer out there now. It's about 1.5 minutes long, and I think it's maybe even 2 minutes. But yeah, it's got more dialogue in it, and it shows more whimsical scenes in it and stuff. Yeah. He's also a little sassy in this one too.
Makes me excited.
That's the part I'm not sure if I'm like on board with it or not, but I gotta see it. So
to me, I took it he like has conviction, and he's going to speak his mind a little bit more about why he does what he does on a justice point.
Yep. All right, everybody's saying good night, and I think it's time for us to sign off as well. Phil, thanks again for being on our show. It was a great pleasure to have you.
Thank you for having me, Jason. Nice to meet you.
Absolutely. Good to see you. And for those of you who want to tune in next week, we are back on Tuesday night. Yes, Tuesday, not Wednesday, at 6:00 p.m. I promise I will have Facebook up and working by then, unless for some reason they have some kind of an issue. We're kind of topic free for Tuesday. No special guest for that week, but the week after we will have Sam Quasman on the show, who has done the voice of Donald Duck for I think like 17 years.
Wow.
So that's going to be an exciting episode. So stay tuned, folks. Watch for our updates on all our social media channels. And until then, stay safe. Love you all. Take care. Have a great night, and adios.
Thank you for tuning in to another fun-filled episode of Main Gate Magic. We hope you enjoyed the show. It's been our pleasure bringing a little Disney magic into your life. Please remain seated while the show comes to a complete stop, keeping your hands, arms, feet, and legs inside the podcast at all times. For more information about upcoming episodes, please make sure to follow, like, and subscribe on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube. You are now free to exit the show. Please watch your step, and be sure to tune in next week for more Main Gate Magic. Bye-bye.